Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, Season 5, Episodes 2 and 3. Yep, yeah, I know. Throw it all. I'm trash, throw the shade, all of it. But here, I filmed this video 3 weeks ago. So I was looking forward to this and I was gonna be on it, and then I got like, because of the death of my people! You know, so here we are. A lot has been happening in the Happily Ever After world, including them trying to trick us into watching Colt and Larissa lead 2 separate lives. I mean, I know at some point they're going to bring the lives together, but right now I'm just kind of like, it's a Jess and Colty, which really should be like 90 Day Fiancé or 90 Day Before the 90 Day or something like that. And then we have Larissa, who really should be on, but both of them being on Happily Ever After, and like, girl, it's too much. All right, so the first thing I want you guys to do is give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share on any social media platform you deem fit. And let's start off with our first couple, and that is Jess and Colty. All right, so we have Colt, who is in Chicago there to visit Jess, and she's very excited to see him because Brazilian women love the sexy. When we get to the part where her and her homegirls are all sitting around that table, I was just like, what in the fuck is happening? I would rather them just speak in Portuguese and have subtitles at the bottom, because listening to their English sounds like they're literally bouncing the words on a verbal trampoline, and it is too much. Like, I got used to Larissa, and she said something crazy when she's like, I'm a Catholic. Like, girl, you're Catholic. You know there's no E at the end of Catholic. Okay, so this is the next day after Jess has kind of been annoyed that Colt hasn't told Debbie about her, and she feels like for some reason Colt is trying to hide her, right? So she doesn't know quite what's going on, but she wants to have sex, so she throws it all away. She forgets about it. They have boom boom that night, and the next morning he goes off to get her breakfast, but they wake up and it's awkward. She says, hey, let's go do a water taxi. You've never done that? It's one of the best experiences in life. And I'm like, is it? Jess wants to know why Colt hasn't told Debbie or doesn't want to tell Debbie. And Colt says because his mother had a bad experience with his last Brazilian wife, and he doesn't want to tell her right now that he's moved on and he's starting to date another Brazilian, because, you know, Debbie's has PTSD or whatever. And so Jess is feeling some kind of way about it. She kind of really doesn't understand, because she's like, it doesn't matter. I'm a different person. You're a new person with me and it's fine. So like, tell me what happened. So Colt paints this picture about Larissa that he had to call the police on her 3 different times for domestic violence. And the truth is that he really didn't need to call the police on her. He's a Karen. You know what I'm saying? He's Karen. He Karen the shit out of her. And it makes me angry that we don't talk about that more or shun him more for doing that. He had no reason to call the police on her. And he just took advantage of his privilege, his American privilege, to be able to call the police on the foreigner. So Jess is like, oh, so I'm sure Jess thinks that this Brazilian woman, Larissa, is like coming at Colt with knives and forks and trying to stab him to death. That wasn't the case at all. And actually, he felt bad when he did all these things that he did to her after he did them, because he's a manipulating asshole. But he doesn't say all that. He just paints this picture that him and his mother had such a bad experience with Larissa, and that he was under duress, and so he doesn't want to jump into something, or at least tell his mother about it. And so Jess gets on his side, and she kind of forgives him for wanting to keep their relationship secret. She invites him to go to Brazil, and he says yes. So we're actually going to see Colt in Brazil with Jess, which I'm interested in seeing. So the next scene with them is that her friends want to see Colt. They want to meet him. So she decides that she wants to go out with her friends and Colt. And when they get there, Colt just doesn't want to go to the club. I mean, and if I were Colt, I wouldn't want to go to the club either, girl. Let's be honest. But he's trying to make her feel guilty and being manipulative as he is by saying things like, I'm actually tired, and when you're in a relationship, you have to think about the person that you're with. You don't have to be manipulative. Like, just be like, hey, babe, I just really wanted to spend time with you. But don't stand on a high horse making it seem like you're the right one and she's the wrong one. Her and her friends are bantering back and forth, and it's like all these like, and one of her friends throws shots when she finds out that Colt has this gym friend named Vanessa. And Jess doesn't like it because she's like, Vanessa knows about me and she's being disrespectful at this point. The friend is like, since when does he go to a gym? And I was like, oh, like, they don't like Colt. And you know what? If I were them, I wouldn't like Colt either, because he's acting like an old man. He's acting like somebody who doesn't want to have fun. So he guilt trips her into going back to the hotel with him. Friends are not with it. They are being very protective of Jess, which I kind of love. I kind of love that. I love that they're all camera ready. I love a lot of things about her friends, and thank you for that. It's just the way Colt talks about Larissa. Like, I think she just wanted to come to America for herself, not for me. And it's like, she wanted to do both, but you're a manipulative asshole. And you got with a grown woman. And so now you're going with someone who's 10 years younger than Larissa, and you're happy about that because you can be even more manipulative and more controlling. But it turns out that Jess is not going to be as easily controlled as he thinks, because she's hot and she doesn't need Colt. There are other guys who would be willing to give her that K1 visa, girl, okay? She can get off that J1 and get to that K1. Jess ends up going back to the hotel with him, and he tries to give her a lecture about relationships and what that means, and she's just like, okay, whatever. A couple days later, or the next, who knows, the 90 Day Fiancé timeline, Colt leaves and goes back to Las Vegas, and Jess in her confessionals is talking about Vanessa, how she doesn't like Vanessa, and how she thinks that Vanessa is talking to Colt on purpose, and she feels like Vanessa is not respectful. Then she also talks about Colt meeting her dad and what that experience is going to be like. She has one more meeting with her friends, and her friends are just like, no, girl, we do not like him. All right, so next we have Larissa and her blind dates. So we come up on Larissa, and she's trying to pole dance, and she's doing a very bad job at it. She's with her homegirl, Hannah, and Hannah decides to set Larissa up with a blind date with a man who's like elegant and genteel, and he drinks wine, which I guess that's what that means. And so Larissa gets gussied up and goes out on a date with him, and is the worst date ever. I mean, the way she comes out with her past and giggling and like, okay, I was arrested 3 times. Okay, but you have to listen to my side of the story. Like, it's just too much. It's like, Larissa, you didn't even try. This guy was like, oh, you have kids? And she didn't want to talk about her kids. Like, she just, not to say this guy was worth her time, because he was a little too metro for me, you know what I'm saying? Just giving me a little bit too much Timothy. But I was like, Larissa, is that how you are on dates? But anyway, she messed that whole date up, girl. I mean, it was so embarrassing and cringy to watch. I was arrested 3 times for domestic violence. You paint the picture more so like, I was in a relationship with this man who I didn't really know, and when I came to America, he changed, and he called the police on me 3 times. I was acquitted all 3 times. It was unnecessary. It's just the laws in Las Vegas, and I want to move on with my life, and I want to be an open book with you. Also, like, your first date, she also didn't even need to say that, honestly. I mean, listen, the first date, you only get that kind of information after the 5th date. The next thing we have with Larissa, she's wearing like a see-through Fashion Nova fit, and she goes to see her friend Hannah at some like body sculpting plates where she gets like electrodes put on her belly, and she talks about Colt to Hannah, and Hannah's like, are you jealous? And she's like, no, I want to kill and bury Colt out of my life, but I do want to talk to Jess. That's his new girlfriend, P.S. I found out on social media. And let her know that he's not quite what he seems, and tell her about my experience. And then this is where the drama begins. I really want to see how their interaction goes, and I hope Jess doesn't act up when she sees Larissa. I hope Larissa doesn't act up when she sees Jess. All right, so that's the end of that couple. Let's move on to Tanya and Sinjin. Okay, so Sinjin is a whole mess this season, all right? So they have their apartment, and now it's time for Sinjin to look for a job. So Sinjin and Tanya go off to Tanya's sister's house, and they throw in a little bit that Tanya and her sister are now on better terms, and they just fight like siblings, even though, like, girl, that didn't seem like a fight. That seemed like some deep-rooted, what did Tanya do to her sister in the 80s to make her sister hate her so? So she comes over to give a briefing of what's going on, that she can't work, and that Sinjin's gonna have to pick up the pace and get a job, and that she's worried about Sinjin getting a job as a bartender because she's worried that he is just gonna come home drunk every night. Sinjin, who seems like he's drunk in this scenario, is like, if I'm gonna have a beer at 10 in the morning, then I'm gonna have a beer at 10 in the morning. It's what I did in South Africa. Are you an alcoholic? So she tells her sister about the times that Sinjin has broken chairs, gotten so drunk at work, got into a fight with customers, and how he applied for some kind of work visa and he got denied because he ended up giving them his work information. And They called his ex-employers, and the employers was like, yeah, he's terrible, he's horrible. And Sinjin is just not seeing, I mean, the pressure of him being in the US and having to actually step up to be an adult is really starting to hit him. And as much as I'm hearing a lot of like murmurings on the interwebs that Tanya is getting on him before he has an opportunity to do something wrong, my thing is like, who has the time for him to do something wrong? I feel for Tanya. I mean, she's made a series of bad decisions by marrying this man. Of course she shouldn't have married him. No, no, no. You know what I'm saying? But now that she's here, he just needs to prove that he can be the person she thinks or hopes that he's going to be, and not be a belligerent teenager and just fall into old patterns. And it seems like he honestly is, talking about he'll have a drink at 10 a.m. if he wants to. Now listen, I know their mom had a drink at 10 a.m. I know that Tanya has drinks at 10 a.m. But like at the end of the day, these are two women who are self-sustaining and have a record of at least keeping themselves afloat and off the street. Whereas Sinjin doesn't necessarily have a record of that. I don't drink, and so a little bit of me is a little judgy, and I don't want to be, but I'm just like, the only reason y'all got this apartment is due to this nice Matt Sharp money, so you need to calm down, because this reality show is not going to pay all the bills. You need to get a job. So he has an interview. In the interview, they say, oh, you don't know how to pour Guinness. And he's like, I don't know how to pour Guinness. And they're just like, okay, well, we'll think about it. Sit down. Let's have a beer. And he has a beer or 5 or 10 and some shots. And he comes home to try to shoot a scene with Tanya. And she is so frustrated with him because he is so drunk. And he just keeps burping. And he keeps being belligerent. She like says something. And he's like, that's not what it is. You're not going to get arthritis. And it's like, babe, I'm just telling you what happened. Like, this doesn't need to be a back and forth. And then finally she looks to production. And she's like, okay, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Like, she can't even have a conversation with him because he has the film. He just came from filming at the bar and he's pissed drunk. Meanwhile, she was at the doctor being told that she's going to have to be off her feet for the next 6 to 12 weeks. That's a long time for a bartender. Feel for her. I really do. I'm almost like, y'all shouldn't have moved out of that shed. I really feel for her, especially with, she can't have a baby with Sinjin. He needs to go through his emotions of moving away from his family and being alone in the US. He needs to process this. He needs to get friends. Like, I feel like what's happening is we're just seeing Sinjin in a transitional time, and there's a lot happening in his life, and he just doesn't feel supported by his girl. But I understand, like, it's hard. I just feel like I'm watching a train wreck, and I don't necessarily know that I'm here for it. So the next couple that we're going to talk about is Paul and Carini. Okay, so Paul and Carini. So Paul and Carini are getting ready in their little shabby apartment to leave, and she's just paying attention to her baby. She's 22, she's a new mom, she loves that baby more than anything, and Paul is just, anxiety. He needs to be on some Lexapro. Listen, he needs to be medicated. Okay? He really does. His anxiety is too much for everybody. So her family is just so sad. They don't trust that Paul's going to take care of her. They don't trust that Paul's going to do her right in the US. Her mom is just like, I miss you and the baby already. I don't want you to leave. I don't know if that's her first grandbaby. I don't know if Carini's the only girl, but I know that her and her mom have a special bond, and she doesn't want Pierre to go, and she doesn't trust Paul, and I wouldn't trust him either. But Carini's like, he's my husband. Like, I have to go and at least see what it's like. There's an opportunity for me to go to the US, even though Carini really doesn't want to go. And I love that. So no one can say that she's a gold digger. But she's been ready to kick Paul out because it's too much. And he just keeps stressing. And then he like freaks out. And then we all have to deal with the aftermath of him freaking out and then coming back saying he's sorry. No, get on some medication. She's not worried about how heavy things are. Instead of him just putting the bag on the scale and like weighing the bag on that, he's going to stand on the scale with the bag, hold it, and then subtract his weight from it to tell how heavy it is. He's really concerned about the weight of these bags, okay? He asks his mother if he can stay there, and of course, the mom says no, because she just knows that Paul is just going to be up to his old tricks, and he's never going to leave the house. He's 36. He needs to figure that shit out. He went over to Brazil, got this girl pregnant, now he wants to bring them back and move into her house? Absolutely not. Not with her and father. Carini's family is they love that baby so much. They're crying when they see her go. They get into a van and they drive off to the airport. And when they're in the van, the baby isn't in the car seat, right? So you think that Paul would be okay with Pierre not being in the car seat. But as soon as they get to the US, I will get there. So they travel to the US and his mother picks them up from the airport. I don't know her name. I keep wanting to call her Alice because I think it's Clint's mother. So anyways, 90 Day Alice picks up Paul and Carini from the airport, and she gives Carini a big hug and a kiss, and she gets her grandbaby. She's so excited to see that little baby. She's so happy to see Carini. I love the fact that she's accepted Carini and Carini has some kind of support, but Carini doesn't quite understand like why his family won't help him, because she doesn't understand that like even though they are there and they are his family, that Paul in the US, when you turn 18, you're supposed to get up and get out, especially at 36. But Paul is like so far behind that they're just like, no, we've given him so many opportunities, so we're just going to let him fail. I do believe, though, if push came to shove, that 90 Day Alice would let Carini live with her. I mean, I hope she would. At least Pierre girl something. They can't be that cold-hearted. Let's talk about Paul trying to get this luggage to the damn car. I think this person has no control over anything in his life. And so the things that he can have control over, he just really tries to like go for it. Sometimes it's the dumb stuff, like trying to fit all these oblong bags onto one carrier so that they can just go right outside the door. You know what I'm saying? They're not at LAX. Like literally she's parked right there. I'm just like, Paul, take a couple items, drop them off, come back in. I don't know what he's thinking. But anyways, so they get in the car. Pierre starts to fuss and cry. And so, you know, Carini takes him out, whips out the boob and starts to feed him, and Paul has a freak out. And his mother's like, Paul, it's none of your business. She's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. He's like, oh, it's illegal though. Isn't this illegal? Tell me it's not illegal. And the mother's like, that is none of your business what's happening back there. You focus on what's happening up here. You know what? You really are an idiot, okay? This is why you can't come and live with me, because you're an idiot. He gets so frustrated that he gets out of the car in the middle of the road to walk into the hotel that she's paying for them, because he doesn't want to be in a car because nobody's listening to him. So anyways, they get into the hotel room and Paul apologizes for freaking out. And Karina's like, Paul, why are you fighting with your mother? Like, you were stressing out. Like, and then he's going to try to like, oh, can you tell me where room number 635 is, Carini? And she's like, this one? And he's like, yeah, very good. And we're just like, shut up, Paul. He tries to explain to Carini why his parents don't want them living there. Carini understands, but she kind of doesn't, because at the same time, she's like, but I'm here and so is Pierre. Like, I think she's just kind of like, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. I will hop on a plane back to Brazil in 2 seconds if this doesn't go well. The next couple that we're going to talk about is Kalani and Asuelu. Okay, so Asuelu's getting on my nerves, okay? Because he is such a child. I mean, I know that he's young, but wow, he's really young. And I feel for Kalani. I mean, she made the choice. She needs to send him back to Samoa, really. Because if he's not helping her anyway, then why is he there? And honestly, from Instagram, you would think that he was with his kids all the time. Because I follow them, but I guess he's not. I mean, hopefully he's changed since they filmed this, but I'm really feeling for her. So Asuelu has got it into his brain that he wants to go home because he misses his family, which I understand. But he wants to bring his kids with him. And when he talks to his sister, he finds out that there is an outbreak of the measles. Then he's like, well, let me see about vaccination. It's like, no, if there's an outbreak of the measles, you don't want to put your kids at risk for no reason. Just go by yourself. He's talking to his homeboys about this, and the homeboys are like, yeah, you want to teach your kids, you know, the language and the culture. You want to take them back to Samoa. And he's just like, yeah, I keep trying to teach them some words. And I'm like, you should be speaking to them, Sorry, spit. You should be speaking to them in the language, period, point blank. What do you mean some words? Why do you even speak to them in English? Just speak to the kids in your language and they'll learn it. Then he talks to his homeboys about he has a part-time job, so he doesn't have much money, but that Kalani should be able to just take care of the kids and go to work, because that's how they do it in Samoa. And, you know, boys just are out running around, I guess, picking coconuts and like doing hard labor and stuff. And so he doesn't understand why she's expecting him to be 50-50. And I'm just like, because you have to. So there's some learning curve situations going on, which I don't know. I didn't think Asuelu would have to have those learning curves. It's like once he got some friends, he just like bugged out. I get it. You know, you're away from home and he's nervous around her family. I get that. I don't know. It just annoys me. So she tells him at some point that she would like to have like a romantic date with him. He doesn't understand why she needs that, but he's like, okay, I'll take you on a romantic date. And they go to throw axes, which to me is not romantic, but it's a great date. And they start to talk and she's enjoying this time with her mans. And then he tells her that he wants to go to the island. And she's just like, okay. They start talking about the fact that his family wants money and stuff. So he's like, we're gonna have to bring gifts. And she's like, okay, we can't give them all and everything because we don't have all and everything. So we need to have enough for our family back home. And he's like, of course. But really, the truth is that I'm sure he just wants to go over there and show off. So I'm just like, what you need to do then is get you a full-time job. You need to go pick up some hours serving soft serve, okay? Because what you're not gonna do, y'all got 2 kids. Who are you giving gifts to? Go to the Walmart, go to the Dollar General, buy them what you need to buy them, but don't try to act like y'all is balling, because you're not. Asuelu does some quick math, which is terrible, and he's like, she's 40% with it and 70% not with it. And we're just like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So then the next scene with them is that they go to the coffee shop and they get some food, and then he talks about the vaccinations and she's kind of like, let's see what the doctors say. So then they go to the doctor and Asuelo's confused because he doesn't know that the lady doctor is a doctor because he thinks that only men can be doctors. Kalani's like, we're not going to have any of that sexism here. Like, that's some sexist bullshit and we're not dealing with it. He has such dead eyes. Like, it's really just like, I don't like him. I'm just going to be honest. And I don't want to not like him. Like, I want to like him because I liked him the first season. But now I'm just like, and I feel bad for Kalani. Girl, she's breastfeeding 2 kids. When he didn't help her take those kids out of the car after she picked him up from work. You know what I'm saying? Just like, all right. So the next couple that we're going to talk about is Eleanor's parents. I mean, really, they are the highlight of this season for me right now. Eleanor's mother not being able to like properly straddle the fence. I mean, she literally will throw Andre under the bus if it works for her. She'll throw her family under the bus if it works for her. She's just like out here for herself. It's so weird. Somebody who doesn't like conflict and just watching them like teeter-totter on both sides is just so awkward. So she has to ask her dad for money for this dream wedding because he's paid for all of his other daughter's dream wedding, and he didn't pay for this wedding that she already had in the US, the wedding that her entire family attended. So like, as I talk about this, and as I talk about how her family is feeling, let's all remember that she's already had an American wedding, okay? That apparently Andre paid for, right? So she's already had a wedding here. She asks her dad to pay for the wedding in Moldova, which I imagine that his American dollar will go a lot longer, or like will stretch because things might be cheaper. So Andre has big plans about how he's going to spend Mr. Chuck's money. So she then goes over there to talk to her dad, ask him for money, and then starts to cry because she's like, Andre's putting me in such an imposition. And the dad is just like, oh, it's okay. You know, I don't want to see you cry. And I'm just like, this man does not look like he has $10 in his pocket. How is it that this man has been able to pay for everybody's dream wedding? He just must be an amazing businessman. I mean, looks can be deceiving, girl. Like, I just want him to wear something more than he dresses like my dad. My dad don't got no money. You know what I'm saying? So she gets the money out of her dad and they haven't discussed a figure, and she goes back to Andre with that information, and Andre was just like, how much? It's going to be anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000. And I'm just like, that is a big jump. Eleanor's mother's like, that's a big jump, Andre. He's like, well, we're going to have to show off. I mean, we're going to have to hire a professional singer, like, between the baptism, the wedding, all the parties and things for the baptism and the wedding and all that stuff. Like, there's a lot of money to be given out here. I don't have a total, but we're gonna have a wedding. I'm just like, oh God, Andre. But Libby is still excited about it. The caveat about them getting married so soon and everything is because in order for the baby to be baptized, her parents have to be married in the church too for the baby to be baptized. She then goes over to her sister's house and her sister-in-law is there. They're all sitting around this beautiful pool, got the titties out, feeding their babies. I mean, they are the real housewives of whatever city in Florida. Rich breastfeeding moms that are just sitting out at the pool. And I loved it. It was actually a great scene for me. I was like feeling it. So they were basically Becky's talking about how selfish Andre is and how she felt like it was malicious that he chose to have the wedding so soon, and he knew that the family wasn't going to be able to drop everything, drop their businesses and everything they have going on and go to Moldova. And Libby's like, well, I mean, it's because of the baptism. You guys already attended their wedding, so why would he think about you guys? His family didn't come over. Y'all didn't think about his family coming over. So, I mean, I know Andre's a tough pill to swallow, but like they have the same kind of energy. And so one is going to one up the other. And that's the way it's going to be. that fabulous scene comes to a close. And then our next scene is Libby and her wedding dress. So she starts to pick out different wedding dresses, and her family is kind of annoyed that she has to have like a modest dress. They really want her titties to be out and her shoulders to be out. Why does it matter? Like, we don't understand why, you know, she has to live up to the Moldovan code when she wasn't raised in that. I'm like, you guys, it's compromise. When you get married, you compromise. Like, if you just one dress that she's been always thinking of has to be modest, like, what does it matter? It's not your dress. So annoying. Something is in my eye. All Americans always act like just following whatever's local custom is just so un-American and so against their morals. And it's like, calm down. They're all being Debbie Downers. And then we have Becky, who's like not even smiling at all because she's like, I'm not even going to be able to be there. And Andre's so malicious. They already attended her wedding in the US. And they could go to Moldova if they wanted to. I hate the way the Americans talk about Moldova. Shop lady was like, oh, Moldova. And they're like, yeah, don't worry. No one knows where Moldova is. And Libby's like, it's an Eastern European country. Like, calm down. It's fine. Like, that whole scene was a lot. And that stupid stole that they put on her is so ugly. Like, I just need them to get a thing right here. Just make some lace. I'm sure she can get something in Moldova that'll be just as beautiful. So she found her wedding dress and all is well. All right. So the last couple that we're going to talk about is Angela and Michael. Angela's a whole hot mess, okay? So Angela has a conversation with her mother, who is on her way out of this world, and asks her mother for permission to marry Michael, to go over to Nigeria and do it. And the mother's like, what? You going over to Nigeria? Well, yeah, I'm a blessing. She don't care what's going on. And Angela's just, you know, trying to like make peace and spend as much time with her mother as possible. And it's kind of endearing to see Angela like be so choked up about her mother. Then Angela goes to the doctor to see, because she's having a cycle. So she goes to the doctor, and the doctor is like, oof, that's a problem. Like, you are 52 and you haven't bled in 2 years and all of a sudden you're bleeding. That means something is wrong. And she's like, no, the doctor in Nigeria told me that I had an egg. And the woman's like, you do not have an egg. It's probably a cyst that she saw. So let's go in there and check it out. So they put the thing inside of her, and she's like, ooh, that's bigger than Michael's penis. And it was just a bad joke, and the doctor did not laugh, and I was like, cringe my life. Angela finding out that she might have cancer, or she could have cancerous cells, was like really hard for her. A lot is compounded onto Angela. She's very stressed out. They got this new house. Skyla is not participating and supporting her in this whole situation. So I actually feel Angela in these first couple of episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is a lot going on. So then she takes one of the grandbabies and she goes to see her lawyer, Lou. She's going to see Lou because Skyla brings up some very good points about checking out how to get divorced if you get married in Nigeria and all that jazz. So Lou talks to her about if they do get married and the will and all that. And she's like, it seems weird to be having this conversation, but Lou's like, it's a very necessary conversation because you want to give your money to your grandbabies, right? And Angela's like, yeah, I was promised the grandkids that they would get a little piece of me, ma, you know, something ever happens to me. And I'm like, is it that much? Because there's like 6 of them. She has that conversation with Lou. She feels good about it. She goes back home and she has a conversation with Skyla. And Skyla is just like, Mama, I am not going to Nigeria. I can't take time off of work. I don't want to be away from my grandmother. And I don't believe in this wedding. Why does she need a witness? She's a grown woman. What does she need a witness for? Can they Skype? Can they Zoom the witness? She gonna call Michael in the middle of the night. Michael, you sleep? Skyla needs to talk to you. Michael's like, yes, baby, what is wrong? Oh, Skyla, you have to think about us. We want to get married. We need to hear Skyla. And Skyla's like, no, Michael, I'm not doing it. I already told Mom I'm not doing it. And Michael's like, oh, okay, good night. Angela is trying to do what she has to do being on this show, paying for her lifestyle, because you know they got that house money from this show, right? And I'm actually really happy for her that she was able to purchase her a bigger house with a nice yard. So she's sitting out in one of the Easy Boys. She's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to sit in this son of a bitch. So Skyla, you coming to Nigeria with me? She's so country redneck. I love it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for sitting through this review. Videos will be coming weekly, I promise. Let's have a kiki and a conversation down below. Let me know what you think of the season so far. What couples are you excited to see? What couples can just go away, girl, because Listen, it's the 7 of them, you know what I'm saying? And I don't care about all 7 of them. Let's be truthful. Unless Larissa's storyline picks up or a Suelu's storyline picks up, they about to get ixnayed because I don't got the time for 7 couples. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share on any social media platform you deem fit. Don't forget to check out these videos right here. And remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? We want to.